Today I'm answering the question of if you're investing while also renting, as in you're a rentvester, how do you decide how much rent is or how much rent you should be paying? Now, my name is Thomas O'Regan and I have an 11 property portfolio, and I make these videos to help people get educated on investing in property here in Australia. Now, the way you decide how much rent you can pay is basically, especially if you're investing, I guess it depends on how aggressive you want to be in your investment portfolio. How much wealth do you want to build? How quickly? What are your goals in terms of investment? Because realistically, when you build an investment portfolio, or if you have any big dreams in life, often when you're to get there, you have to reverse engineer that, right? So if you say, for example, you want to buy 10 properties, then just work backwards from there and just say, look, how much money do I need to put aside for investing to get to my goal of 10 properties by X amount of years? And if that means that you can afford to rent somewhere for, say, $50,000 a year, then you can do that. But if, for example, and obviously this answer is very dependent on your personal circumstances, what your personal income is, what your personal goals are. That will determine how much you can afford to pay in rent as a landlord, as a rentvester, as a landlord that is also renting. So basically, but I guess if you're looking to aggressively invest, effectively you want to be paying as little as possible in rent. And realistically, what most successful investors do, which you can see that's lame, but what most successful investors actually do is they live at their parents' house for as long as they possibly can, and they use all the money they would otherwise be spending on renting to invest. So what they're actually doing is they're building their investment portfolio as big as they possibly can, like a snowball, and then it's going to start picking up momentum and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's a bit of a head start on their portfolio before they start renting their own property. And I guess a lot of people wonder, like, why would you, if you're a property investor, why would you rent at all? And the reality is, you, as a property investor, you should be able to make a far better return investing in property than you could if you were to choose to live in the property yourself. Because the reality is, as a property investor, you get income. So for the property portfolio's growth itself, you're effectively covering the cost of ownership of the portfolio through rental income. And I guess to be a successful investor, you really have to be able to crunch the numbers, and you have to really be able to sit down and say, okay, like, what is the maximum amount of money I can pay in rent? I don't really have a very straight answer for this, because everyone's situation is different. It's like whatever goal you're trying to achieve in terms of wealth, in terms of building a property portfolio, that is personal to you, right? So it's very hard to say this is how much money you should be spending on rent. It's dependent on how much income you're currently making. If your current income is $100,000, then maybe it makes sense to rent a place for $30,000. But if your total income is more like $250,000, maybe it makes more sense to pay to rent somewhere that is $50,000 a year. But the reality is, the more you sacrifice in terms of outgoing costs, the heavier and more aggressive you are able to invest in a property. So realistically, even if you do have an income of $250,000 compared to a person that was on $100,000 a year, and you have a very, very aggressive property portfolio goal, maybe it does make sense for you, to not splurge and just pay $50,000 in rent per year because you can. Maybe it makes more sense for you just to bite the bullet and rent somewhere that's a little bit cheaper so you can get to your goals quicker.